If being yourself keeps costing you people, maybe honesty is the real punishment. Dostoyevsky understood this well. When a person looks inward, the reflection is often unbearable. The fears, the anger, the unresolved conflicts, these elements of the inner world can overwhelm us. Most people wear masks not to deceive others, but to avoid seeing themselves. And slowly, without noticing, you become someone who survives, rather than someone who lives. And yet, there are moments when these masks slip, leaving us naked before a mirror, vulnerable and exposed. This struggle is not only about self-judgment. It also arises when we feel the weight of our freedom. Our truest self emerges only in moments of complete freedom. Freedom is painful because, for the first time, you can no longer blame anyone else. So painful, in fact, that sometimes we wish we could destroy ourselves to escape it. Dostoyevsky called this the greatest torment. The deepest desires of human beings create a constant tension between understanding ourselves and being accepted by others. If this resonates with you, know that you are not alone, but the fear of facing your truth often deepens the solitude. Why does being yourself hurt so much? Perhaps it is because in solitude, all the shortcomings, all the suppressed fears, and all the hidden judgments come rushing to the surface. The same mind that imagines beauty is fully capable of destroying itself, and often does. Dostoyevsky's characters demonstrate that the more we flee from our own darkness, the further we drift from ourselves. This is where consciousness and free will enter the picture. On one side lies the freedom to confront our choices and desires. On the other, the weight of responsibility and the loneliness that comes with it. Pain emerges precisely here. When we fully embrace our freedom, acting independently of others' expectations, we feel both the grandeur of existence and the unbearable emptiness it can bring. That emptiness often appears at first as mere silence. But over time, you realize it is an echo revealing the deepest parts of your being. To release yourself from the expectations of others, to shed the weight of social norms, is a freedom few are ready to claim. Because freedom is not merely doing what you wish, it is also bearing the consequences, the regrets, the guilt, and the fears that follow. Fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of being unloved. All of these can paralyze your will. And this paralysis is the essence of pain. For when your truest self emerges, vulnerability is unavoidable. Those who refuse responsibility hide behind masks. Yet no mask can shield you from the reckoning with your inner world. This confrontation begins in silence, deepens in solitude, and subtly reshapes your entire life. To dare to be yourself is not just courage, it is a profound challenge. Facing your inner darkness is far more unsettling than any error visible to the world. And here lies the paradox. Darkness frightens you and yet frees you. Without darkness, you cannot perceive light. Without pain, you cannot recognize peace. Sometimes, under the weight of your choices, you feel crushed. Other times, you feel you are breathing fully for the first time. This contradiction is the essence of existential anguish. The true self is strong and fragile, passionate and fearful. Learning to live with this duality is a lifelong process. The pain of being yourself is not caused by others. It is caused by what you finally admit when no one is watching. More often, it is about your own failure to understand yourself, to honor your desires and confront your fears. To experience your freedom fully, you must also accept the solitude it brings. For when the masks fall, only you remain. This loneliness can be so intense that even breathing feels like a test. And yet, this solitude is the purest form of freedom. Alone, you determine your value and your choices. The awareness that comes with it is frightening at first, but gradually it becomes a source of strength. For when you accept yourself, no false security can shield you anymore. Acceptance is both painful and liberating, the heaviest burden and the most profound freedom. Here is where most people stop listening, because what comes next is uncomfortable. At first, the silence feels heavy, almost suffocating, as if the world has withdrawn and left you to confront yourself without distraction. You begin to notice the patterns of your life, the ways you have avoided discomfort, the decisions made to please others, the habitual compromises that slowly shaped your identity into something recognizably familiar yet strangely hollow. And as these realizations surface, there is a tremor of fear, the fear of facing the truth that your life, in many ways, has been lived according to scripts not written by you. Yet with that fear comes a strange clarity, a fleeting sense of awakening. You start to see that being yourself is not a single act but a continuous negotiation with every thought, feeling, and impulse you have long suppressed. Every hesitation, every ignored desire, every buried emotion becomes a mirror reflecting the enormity of your inner world. And in that reflection, you find both beauty and terror. Beauty in the uniqueness of your mind, your capacity for love, creativity, and reflection. Terror in the depths of your resentments, anxieties, and impulses you never allowed yourself to acknowledge. It is here, in this delicate tension between fascination and dread, that true understanding begins. You realize that the masks you have worn were never truly protective. They were shields against recognition, not harm. And now, without those shields, you are confronted with the unmediated experience of being. Your thoughts, once scattered and externalized, consolidate into a singular weight, the undeniable responsibility of your existence. And within this responsibility, you perceive a subtle paradox. The very elements that terrify you, the loneliness, the uncertainty, the rawness of your desires, are the same elements that grant you authenticity, that confirm that you are alive in the most uncompromising sense. To sit with this awareness is to embrace both fragility and strength simultaneously. You feel the pull of comfort, the seductive call to retreat into familiar pretenses, yet every retreat feels hollow, every evasion temporary. And slowly, imperceptibly, the mind begins to adapt, to breathe differently, to expand into the dimensions of its own truth. You begin to understand that the journey of being yourself is not linear. It is a constant oscillation between fear and courage, avoidance and confrontation, despair and a quiet, persistent hope. It is an ongoing dialogue between what you are and what you might become, and it is within this dialogue, however uneasy, that freedom, perhaps the purest form of freedom, quietly resides. The pain of being yourself is an internal reckoning. Recognizing contradictions within, seeing your limits and potential, understanding what you are and what you are not. This is why Dostoyevsky's characters are perpetually tormented. They are not lost because they are evil, but because they cannot escape what they know about themselves. Confronting darkness often incites a desire to flee, yet escape is impossible. Avoidance only creates a temporary silence, while the conflict grows unnoticed, shaping every aspect of life. Being yourself sometimes feels like betraying yourself. Without masks, the self is defenseless against the world. Awareness begins here. The pain is both the weight of freedom and the harsh truth of reality. Knowing yourself is more than noticing flaws, it is recognizing your limits and your potential. Awareness does not heal you, it forces you to stay awake. Hope sits beside fear. Pause now. Ask yourself, do you really know who you are? Do you notice how you wear a mask every moment, conforming to expectations? Do not answer immediately. Sit with the silence. Real answers emerge there, in solitude. As you wait, you realize that knowing yourself is not about names or labels. It is a painful awareness. Every escape, every mask, every choice conceals a void. That void is unfilling. No applause, no praise, no success can occupy it. Only confronting your own existence allows you to feel it. And at that moment, a tremor runs through your soul. Dishonesty with yourself means dishonesty with others. The life behind the mask is not your life, it belongs to others. Even after realizing this, we sometimes run, because facing it is hard. Freedom demands solitude with your fears and guilt. Few can endure it, for loneliness is not absence, it is the presence of your own darkness, raw and unshielded. You must face the part of yourself you like least. True self-knowledge encompasses strength, weakness, fragility, and terror. Acceptance is not judgment, yet acceptance itself carries pain enough to provoke escape. There is no true escape. Confronting your inner world is a life condition. Every postponed confrontation adds a small, sharp pain, silently deepening your existence. The pain of being yourself is not momentary, it is a constant existential contradiction. You are a being who must know both limits and potential. This knowledge can feel suffocating. Yet the paradox remains. Recognizing this burden is the first step toward freedom. Freedom is not just evading expectations, it is facing truth, embracing darkness and light, accepting yourself fully. This acceptance is painful and yet invaluable. Dostoyevsky's characters are troubled because this confrontation pulls them away from superficial security. The journey is frightening and mesmerizing. As you remove the masks, the darkness becomes a guiding light. It frightens, yet authenticates your experience. Every choice, thought, and feeling shifts from habit to conscious engagement. Conscious living brings both peace and discomfort, but it prevents retreat into false securities. Discomfort awakens. The act of daring yourself brings responsibility, facing your inner and outer worlds continuously. Escape no longer exists. The path is often painful but instructive. Pain is not merely an obstacle, it is a guide, revealing your limits, showing what must be faced. It asks the deepest question: who do you truly want to be? This question rarely has a simple answer. The answer emerges in silence, in darkness. Facing your own darkness outweighs others' judgments. The pain of being yourself is the key to freedom. Freedom is honesty, with others, yes, but above all with yourself. Honesty can hurt, but it reveals existence in its truest form. And so, when the masks are gone, the dark side becomes your ally, your guide, your most authentic part. Acceptance is both burden and gift, pain and liberation. Ask yourself now, can you bear it? Can you endure the pain of being yourself? Perhaps the pain is endless. Perhaps it will lighten when acceptance comes. Yet no single word contains the answer. Only confronting your darkness brings it. Is the pain of being yourself a burden or a freedom? The choice is yours. Delay, and the pain grows. The silence beneath your mask sharpens. Before you answer, understand this. Whatever you choose, you will have to live with yourself, or will you spend your life deceiving the only person who matters you?